Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
What if you had a choice? A choice of joining a line or a choice of making your purchases online? What would you choose? While you ponder on that, the National Lotteries Authority has provided another purchasing option. All their games are now available online. Yes, Grenadians! From wherever you are, purchase your favorite daily and jackpot type games using any electronic device. Register on the NLA's website at www.nla.gd. Top up your account and enjoy online lottery gaming at your convenience. We're taking shopping comfort up several notches. But the choice is yours. Join a line or buy online. NLA, make your dreams come true.
Good morning, clubbers, and of course, welcome to another edition of the Wake Up Club. It's another terrific Tuesday in the Isle of Spice. We are in the month of December, and of course, the energy of Christmas is in the air. This morning, I'm grateful, of course, for the breath of life, for opportunities. I'm grateful for my family. I am grateful for the blessings that present themselves today and always. I'm also grateful for the life lessons, the blessings, and the lessons, because sometimes there are a lot of blessings that come with lessons. Sometimes we focus on the negative and we don't focus on the positive. So I want to encourage you today, whatever you're going through, it might be tough, but it is also a lesson teaching you something. So look for the teachable moments in everything that we do. It's definitely my favorite time of the year. I'm already starting to hear the Christmas carols in my office building, the parang on the radio. There is that excitement and that there is that buzz. As we enter into this season of merriment, I want to remind you to make sure that you're looking after those that are less fortunate. And it's sad for me to say that sometimes it's only around Christmas time we feel the need to support those that are vulnerable and not as fortunate as ourselves. Nonetheless, I want to encourage you to make sure that in all your merriment, remember that there are people that are not as fortunate as you are, and to make sure that you do your part to help those. We have an exciting program today. Today is also being celebrated and recognized as International Day of the Disabled. And we're going to do our part this morning in joining in the celebration and awareness. Now, don't touch that dial. Don't touch that dial at all. I know you all prefer when it's bacchanal and it's melee, but let me tell you something. Knowledge is something nobody can take away from you, okay? And we live in a world where we have disabled people. You may not have somebody within your family, but you know somebody. And even if you don't and you're not affected by it, knowledge is power. So don't even touch that dial, okay? This is an opportunity for you to become more aware about what people with disabilities face and how you can do your part. So I want to encourage you to, of course, share the live, because knowledge is power. And if you can empower somebody else by sharing this live so they can get in on the conversation. You are doing your part to make Grenada and the world a better place. So don't touch that back dial. You want a little bacchanal, I'll give you a little bacchanal in what irks Kirk, because sometimes that's all that excites some of us. But let me tell you something. I want to remind you, knowledge is power, and anything that you can learn to make you a better version of yourself is something you should be running to grab hold of, because there's a lot of nonsense outside there in the world. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be chatting about what irks Kirk, and then I'm going to bring on my panelists. I have a great panelist this morning. Of course, I have two successful, outstanding Grenadian women, and I have a Jamaican man on the program as well this morning. But let me tell you about our guest first. Our guest this morning, Michelle Braffett. She is, of course, the principal of the School for the Deaf for over 15 years, someone that I have worked with as well. The institution serves as a resource center and provides support for students who are deaf within the mainstream schools. She's also the founder and president of Advocacy Grenada, Inc., a non-governmental organization supporting persons with disabilities. We also have another successful Grenadian woman, another Michelle, but this time Michelle Francis. She's a native of Petite Martinique. Ms. Francis is the CEO of QS Behavioral Services, an autism agency based in Florida. And of course, we also will have joining us at some point this morning, Mr. Andrew Sharp. He's the founder and CEO of Authentic Caribbean Foundation, Inc., and that's out of Boston, Massachusetts. So we're going to be talking to these people. They have a wealth of information and a wealth of knowledge on the topics that we're going to be talking this morning. So don't touch that dial. We take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be chatting about what irks me this morning, and then we'll dive deeply into our conversation. We'll be right back.
Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
Welcome back. And of course, this segment is called What Irks Kirk. And I don't know if it's really irking me, but it is making me very concerned. I'm sure a lot of you would have seen this video circulating on social media. And apparently in the video, I am chastising and more or less to say cussing Kem Jones out. Now, that video is real, but it's not real. You see, someone took part of what I said here on a program when I was upset with the fact of how irresponsible we are on social media. Because all of us are media workers now. Once you have Facebook, we're all media workers now. We're all selling a story. And I was upset of how irresponsible we are. Based on a situation, a suicidal situation that happened. So I was very upset, and I was chastising you as the audience to encourage you to be more responsible when you're posting. And of course, someone cut pieces of it and they put it together with Kem, and a lot of people felt that I was cussing Kem Jones. What saddened me is that a lot of you reached out to me and were happy about it. Yes, cuss him, give him. That disappointed me, because some of you have never reached out to check on my well-being or check on me at all, but you were happy because you fell for somebody's, I don't know what that person's agenda was, to put this video out there. I guess they wanted Kem to respond to it and say something negative about me thinking I was chastising him, and then I would say something, and then you all as the audience would just grab your popcorn and your drink and enjoy two people breaking down each other. Because I guess that's what some of you like. You like the bacchanal. You would love to see me and Kim beating bacchanal on social media. Sad, isn't it? We live in a very sad world where entertainment for some of you is human beings breaking down and trying to destroy each other. It's sad. It's also sad that we're living in a world where some idle person will sit down behind their computer and create that sort of negative energy and put it out there with some sort of agenda behind it. But I also want some of you to also understand that we really live in a world where there's so much fake news out there, and you've got to pay attention. And with AI and all the technology that's happening, sometimes something is packaged so skillfully that you think it's coming from a legitimate source. So I want to encourage you guys to pay close attention to where you get your information from, and to also look for credible sources of information. Not everything you see on social media, dressed up in a tie and in a nice bow and with nice creatives and all of that, is real. And for those of you who get joy in seeing people tear each other down, take a bush bath this Christmas, you hear? And that's what irks me this morning. We take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be diving into our conversation this morning. We're going to be talking about International Day of the Disabled, what you should be aware of, and how we can better contribute to making Grenada and the world a better place for these people. We take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
It's time to do better. Beacon's Be Better Group Health Plan now offers new and improved options that make health insurance affordable for small to medium businesses. Good medical cover gives you a competitive edge and takes care of the people that take care of your business. Get a better plan to build a better business. Call Beacon or log on to beacon.co.tt for more info today.
Welcome back to the Wake Up Club. Of course, this morning we're talking about International Day of the Disabled, and I want to invite Michelle Braffett and Michelle Francis. Welcome to the Wake Up Club. Morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome to the Wake Up Club. Now, the Wake Up Club is a place where we discuss issues, but it's also where we celebrate Grenadians doing great things. So before we dive into the conversation, I read your
Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
Welcome back. For some reason, my internet went off and it just came back on.
Hello, Moto.
Ladies and gentlemen, I see Mr. Sharp has joined us. Mr. Sharp, everybody, welcome to the program. Michelle, I wanted to start with you, Hercules. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into the conversation.
Michelle B or Michelle S?
Michelle B.
B. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Kirk, for having us on this morning. So, yes, I am Michelle Braffett. As you heard earlier, I'm the principal. I've been the principal at the school for the deaf maybe more than 17, 18 years. I started a non-governmental organization, as you heard earlier on, for persons with disabilities, Advocacy Grenada Inc. I love traveling with a purpose as well, though. I love dancing. I'm also involved in things like the Paralympic Committee. I'm also involved with the Starkey Hearing Foundation, where I volunteer out of Grenada and would go out to fit persons with hearing aids and so on. So I just actually did that about 3 weeks ago in El Salvador. I'm passionate, not just passionate, but as well as involved in working with and for people with disabilities. And that's what Advocacy Grenada is about. We have a board of directors, persons who are all interested in the work, and we've been trying to more or less have an impact here in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, because if I don't say that, Michelle Francis would get at me.
I don't very much. Michelle Francis, welcome to the Wake Up Club. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And
Good morning. Good morning.
We love when we have people from the Sister Isles on.
Yes.
Yes, and Michelle, you were spot on with that. So good morning again, and thank you for guys for having me here. I am Michelle Francis, originally from the little island of Petit Martinique, and like Michelle too, I'm also very passionate and involved in special needs, disability, education, and mostly inclusive education. I've been, shouting from the mountaintops for the longest while. Year before, I actually hosted autism awareness at the stadium, and I had a really nice turnout with most of the private schools. And last year I planned to return, but I got caught in Hurricane Beryl. So I had to put that aside. So I'm very happy to be here now, and also to be able to represent the smaller island, because oftentimes we seem to be forgotten. But loudmouth, and as I said, I'm here to support. I'm actually the CEO of QS Behavioral Services. It's actually the acronym QS Behavior is actually from a family member of mine who have been impacted with a disability, and I'm living it every day. So I'm an advocate, and I know how it can affect family. So I'm here to help the people and to lend my support. Thank you again for having me.
Morning. Morning. Big
Yes,
up the
Mr.
Wake
Shaw,
Up
it's your
Club.
turn.
Big up the Wake Up Club, man. Big it up, big it up, big it up. Big up Grenada. You're doing a good job. I'm Andrew Sharp. And when I say big it up, I'm from Jamaica, but an honorary Grenadian. And one Caribbean man, ensuring that we're promoting persons with disability. I run the Authentic Caribbean Foundation, the chairman, and our focus is on kids with disability. And I must take my hats off to Miss Michelle Brathwaite. I was first introduced to Michelle Brathwaite when
Junior, if you can hear me, I'm not hearing anybody.
You're hearing me? Hello?
We are hearing you, but it seems Kirk is not hearing you, but we are hearing.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yes.
It's time to do better. Beacon's Be Better Group Health Plan now offers new and improved options that make health insurance affordable for small to medium businesses. Good medical cover gives you a competitive edge and takes care of the people that take care of your business. Get a better plan to build a better business. Call Beacon or log on to beacon.co.tt for more info today.
Call Instaprint Grenada today. Located inside Ryder Excursion at the Esplanade Mall, we handle both small and large orders with speed and precision. For fast, quality t-shirt printing, call Instaprint at 473-422-1011. Get your perfect print today at Instaprint. Printing done in an instant.
Are you looking to take your business or event to the next level? Advertise on Ride Along Live and reach over 10 million viewers worldwide every month. With a global audience tuning in for the latest news, entertainment, and culture, your message will get the exposure it deserves. Don't miss the opportunity to showcase your brand to a diverse and engaged audience. Ride Along Live, where the world watches and your business grows.
Contact us today to get started.
Looking for a hassle-free way to rent a car in Grenada? Welcome to Ride Car Rental, offering efficient, time-saving service with affordable rates and 100% paperless rentals. Whether you're visiting or need a quick ride, we've got you covered. Call now at 473-422-1011 and get behind the wheel today. Ride Car Rental, where convenience meets the road.
What if you had a choice? A choice of joining a line or a choice of making your purchases online? What would you choose? While you ponder on that, the National Lotteries Authority has provided another purchasing option. All their games are now available online. Yes, Grenadians! From wherever you are, purchase your favorite daily and jackpot type games using any electronic device. Register on the NLA's website at www.nla.gd. Top up your account and enjoy online lottery gaming at your convenience. We're taking shopping comfort up, several notches. But the choice is yours. Join a line or buy online. NLA, make your dreams come true.
Gas prices got you down? Pick yourself up with Ride Rent a e-bike today and take advantage of the smartest and coolest way to get around. Rental starting for only $30 per hour and less than $100 EC per day. Zip through traffic, save money, and look awesome doing it. Check us out at the Esplanade Mall today. Visit us online at ridersebike.com or give us a call at 473-422-1011. Your wallet and the planet will thank you. Ride Rent a e-bike.
Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
Folk, of course, welcome back to the Wake Up Club. My apologies. I seem to be having data issues this morning. I believe that I'm on. I want to welcome back the panel to the Wake Up Club. Folks, welcome back.
Thank you. We're here.
Okay. Today is being celebrated as Day of the Disabled, International Day of the Disabled. What does that mean for us here in Grenada, and what can we look forward to?
Right. So as we said, it's International Day. There is a theme actually, and the theme for this year is amplifying the leadership of persons with disabilities for an inclusive and sustainable future. So what we are advocating for actually, not just in Grenada, but internationally is that of recognizing the role of persons with disabilities in terms of creating a more inclusive, a more sustainable world. We're saying that persons with disabilities, they can have leadership roles, they should be a part of the decision-making process. Now in Grenada, what we will be doing, Kirk, we'll be having a march in just a few hours from the Green Bridge, that's near the National Stadium, and we'll have the students out, not just the special needs students, but also the students within the mainstream schools. Because if we are to educate our populace, we need to start from our foundation, from our students, so that they can appreciate and understand that persons with disabilities are human beings just like themselves. They may have differences in certain ways, but they are leaders in their own rights, and they have a lot to contribute to society. So we'll be having that march, which is also a collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Advocacy Grenada Inc., and the Grenada National Council for the Disabled. After that, we'll be making our way to the Grandans Beach, where we'll be having the launch of a Moby mat. And that is so that persons can access the beach. So they roll out this mat and you can put your wheelchair on it and you can get into the water. So we'll be having that. And later in the afternoon, if I may mention that as well, there's a red carpet event. It's by invitation. It's through the Ministry of Social Development and Seroptimus International, where there'll be the launch of a film that was produced on persons with disabilities. So that's what's happening in Grenada. But throughout the region, activities are happening right now as we speak, bringing awareness, turbocharging, more or less, turbocharging that of amplifying the songs for persons with disabilities, or the voices.
Looking for a hassle-free way to rent a car in Grenada? Welcome to Ride Car Rental, offering efficient, time-saving service with affordable rates and 100% paperless rentals. Whether you're visiting or need a quick ride, we've got you covered. Call now at 473-422-1011 and get behind the wheel today. Ride Car Rental, where convenience meets the road.
Welcome back to the Wake Up Club. I am terribly sorry for what's happening this morning. Data issues left, right, and center. Panel, are you still there?
Yes, we're right there with you. We're right there. We're riding along. We're riding along the waves.
You're right. The internet keeps coming on and cutting off. I don't know if there's an issue in Grenada today. Is Mr. Sharp still on with us?
I am not seeing him.
Okay.
All right.
Because
maybe
Mr. Sharp talked about, he mentioned being passionate about it.
Yes.
Okay, he's here.
Okay, yes. Mr. Sharp, you're passionate about, ensuring that people with disabilities are empowered to achieve financial independence, protect themselves, and manage the impact of climate change on their livelihood, as well as to live a full and happy life. That sounds idealistic, but is it possible?
Absolutely, it is possible, because guess what? We're here today and we're moving the needle. Grenada has been in progress. I'm with a person like myself, always want to show that implementation, not just talking. So, out of the several engagement with the Ministry of Education, look at what we have done. That's amazing. In 22 countries, Caribbean Disability Conference, and that's big progress. And to be able to have all stakeholders in the room, it was the energy, the synergy that was in the room. Amputee, visual impaired, the deaf, the blind, the persons who have hidden disability. Let's not forget about those who have hidden disability that might not want.
I think somehow
Right,
we
we lost. But if we could pick up maybe Michelle from where Mr. Sharp.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because when we talk about hidden disabilities, you and I can be here, Cook, you can be right here sitting with you, and I may have some learning challenges. It might be I'm dyslexic, and we tend to forget those as well. We see the physically challenged, we see the visually impaired or the blind, but there are also people within our country, our community, who may have invisible disabilities. And I'm happy that Mr. Sharp mentioned that. But what we want to talk a little about what is happening in the region right now, why we're all excited, is that we're bringing everybody together. Out of the Caribbean Disability Conference that was held in October in Grenada, where we had international, regional participation, over 150 persons at the opening ceremony, we were able to now start a network. We were able to get funding and draw the attention of the United Nations Human Rights. We were able to draw the attention of the Caribbean Development Bank. We were able to draw the attention of OAS. We were able to draw the attention of a lot of these funding agencies. Because what we are trying to do, too many of us are doing things here, there, and everywhere. All with the same effort, but we need to come together. As a region, we talk about CARICOM, and maybe it's not happening as it should, but we would want to see to it that Caribbean Disability Network would have impact for all persons with disabilities. We want to talk a lot about self-advocacy, where it won't only be me or Michelle speaking up, but we want for persons with disabilities themselves to be able to advocate for themselves, speak up. And that goes into training, training for parents, and so on. Michelle may have some more to add.
Absolutely, Michelle. Great segue. Back to the point on the invisible disability. It's a great point because it begs the question, what does a disability look like? And too often times we tend to look for the cane and the wheelchair. As an educator, I'm very familiar with the invisible disability because I work with persons with specific learning disability, the autism spectrum, and all of that. So we have to break the attitudinal or the barrier, the attitude towards person with disability. And I think today is a great day, Michelle. I'm not on Grenada on the land to be with you on the beach there, but I'm very proud of you. We have to break the stigma that is attached to persons with disability. Oftentimes we see that persons with disability they're the most marginalized, and disability should not be equivalent to poverty. Persons with disability tend to be below the line. So we want to break that. We're going to blast the airway. We're going to let people know they're going to be tired of hearing about it. And again, I see, until we stop talking, then we'll know that we have achieved some form of inclusiveness in the country.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, definitely disability is not an inability. And you mentioned the invisible disabilities that we have. How does a parent know if a child has an invisible disability? Because often children that we find look normal but behave differently, we put them in the back of the class.
And we
go ahead, Michelle.
And we often say the word that Cook just used, normal. What does normal look like?
I know you were going to hit on that.
What does normal look like? So it's a word in our space that we avoid, but we may say typical or a typical student, because what does normal look like? So yes, parents know, and what is good, and that's why education is important. So what I'm seeing happening from here in Grenada, parents are now becoming aware. It's like, okay, my child is lagging behind. And that is good. My child is lagging behind. Some might be in denial, but some are coming forward. I would like my child to be assessed. And we have the Ministry of Education. We now have a special education inclusive unit where persons are trained in assessing whether it's for cognitive and so on, that they can go. I'm carrying the hat today of advocacy, but I would just step out for a minute and say also at our institution, the School for the Deaf, we do hearing assessments, as well as we can do what is called a quick screening for autism. We're not diagnosing, but we have a checklist, a standardized checklist, and we can go through and say, okay, we can talk with parents, we can observe what is happening, and we can say it appears something is happening, we refer you for further assessment. So there are opportunities here in Grenada, also at St. George's University. And I want to say kudos to medical doctors, but it is not a medical doctor to diagnose when it comes to dyslexia, dysgraphia, and a lot of these learning. But you need the educational psychologist. You need a multidisciplinary team to come together to assess. So we want to let parents know that the medical doctor will have their role as well. But it is a team in most instances, in some of the diagnosing, to more or less give your child that statement or that diagnosis. But I must say in Grenada, we have not reached the stage where we can diagnose fully some of the disabilities, but I think we are getting there.
Yes,
Definitely.
Michelle, that's a good point. If I may chime in here, I am ADOS certified, that's the standard diagnostic for persons with autism. But I cannot use the word, good point, Michelle, I cannot use the word diagnose because I do not have an MD, but I can find the characteristics like you mentioned a while ago. On that note, Michelle, just if I should chime in, that is a challenge in Grenada. It is a challenge, the resource to be able to find, to do assessment. I'm glad you mentioned there are some now, but we're getting there slowly and surely. But that has been a major challenge in the past. And for those who have been, or once the parents suspect the child of a disability, here comes the big question: what next? What next? Parents are not equipped, teachers are not equipped, society is not equipped. And so we see attitude and we see a whole breed of problems, surrounding persons with disability.
Yes, so we need to break down the barrier of attitude. We have attitudinal barriers. We have a lot of physical barriers when we talk about infrastructure. For example, you want to go to a doctor's office, as I was mentioning the other day, and you have a physical challenge, you're ill, and you have to climb how many steps to get upstairs, a 3-story or 2-story building, in terms of the width of the door to get in if you're on a wheelchair, to access even going to a doctor. I mean, it's their private practice, but I think we need to have some standards here in relation to the building code and so on, which will see to it that public spaces, we talk a lot about this in terms of ramps and so on, but it's not only about the ramps, but even, having bars, even in terms of the width of a door and that sort of a thing, that we need to really consider those things in relation to persons with disabilities. In terms of assistive technology, people need to be able to have access, even if it's to a cane, even if it is to a recorder, that sort of a thing, even if it is to a hearing aid and so on. I think there are a lot of things that we need to work on in relation to assistive technology as well. It's happening gradually, slowly, but we need to sabotage. Because if we're saying, we're asking 2030, we're talking about the Sustainable Development Goals. In 2030, if our world is inclusive, what will that look like? So we are pushing for disability inclusion. Persons with disability have voting rights. They can vote too. And we are saying too, the state parties provide for our persons with disabilities, because they are going to go out there too, and they are going to be voting, right? So we need to make sure that when we are doing whatever, cross-cutting is that of inclusion. If we have a mind of inclusion, then it will be catering to gender, we'll be catering to persons with disabilities, we'll be catering to all ages. So in terms of cross-cutting, in all our policies, in all of our programs, is inclusion. It will accommodate and include everyone.
And Michelle, to chime in on that, the question is when we do that, who benefits? Everyone benefits. Take, for example, we have ramps and things like that on the sidewalk. Who benefits? The general population benefits as well. Have you ever tried to walk a stroller, lift a baby stroller up a sidewalk, or a shopping cart up a sidewalk? When we think of everyone, when we think of inclusion for all, everyone benefits. We find a community of tolerance. Once that barrier is down, we have the transportation barrier, we have the communication barrier, we have the attitudinal barrier. So many barriers we have. So once we can break those barriers and we become a fully inclusive community, as you said, what would 2030 look like? Big question. I want to share an experience I had in Grenada, in a very busy food complex. Went in with a relative who is hearing impaired. And of course, he placed the order and waited for a while. I'm chatting outside, catching up with friends on the outside. 40 minutes and she's inside. I walked inside and she's standing there, and I went to the counter and I asked, what happened? They said, oh, we called the number. And I said, did it occur to you that someone here might be hearing impaired? So she did not hear the number. Now, my thing, had there been another mode of communication, a television screen, she would have seen the number call. So it might sound like something small, but those are the big things that we have to look into if we want to talk about an inclusive education. I am very passionate about the inclusion of children in the education system. I recently presented in the 50-50 conference where I focused on rethinking education for the 21st century. We have to know, and I taught in Grenada for 25, 30 years, actually 28 years. So I'm very much mindful of the approach I had as an educator for children who, now that I know, had significant learning disability. Those were the children that you put in the back of the class. Or you didn't include these children in certain project or certain activities they can't perform.
Yes. Yeah.
So I have a guilt. I'm guilty. I'm very guilty. And it's one of the things that led me to study special education, because after I'm thinking, well, why they can't get it? Because our education system is a one size fit all, and we have to move away from that. Michelle?
Yeah, I don't know, as you said that for some. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got to ask, because I know a lot of us, we don't. The truth and the fact is that we don't know better. We don't have the tools to know better.
True.
You know, because while we're giving the impaired and the disabled the tools to survive in this world, a lot of us don't have the tools to understand how we can work with the disabled. Sometimes we're uncomfortable, you know. So I think education on what we can do better to better accommodate our disabled is also key.
Very true. In terms of the education aspect for all of community, even the police force, our nurses, you know, all our service providers need to be educated. Even within when we talk even in terms of education, looking at our teacher ed program, is it an inclusive one? Is it pushing inclusive education? Or even in the police school, can it be that maybe within the police school that you have sign language being taught, or you have the exposure to how to deal with someone with mental illness when you may encounter them, or even learning a bit of Braille. So that is why I'm saying, if we are inclusive in our policies, in everything, then you would find that this is being able to roll out quite nicely, so that you don't have to think twice. Oh, did we include somebody? Did we include that area of disability? But because we're talking inclusion, we'll be catering to and for everybody. So that is the critical aspect here.
And Michelle, if I may, chime again.
Yes, go ahead.
I know persons are saying now that I believe Grenada the intention is to move towards an inclusive education. But what I think we're having right now is an integrated approach, integration. And we have to be mindful that integration and inclusion is not exactly the same thing. It may look the same, but there is a clear difference when you integrate, like the kids, everybody is going to high school. But when that doesn't mean that everybody in the classroom is actually fairly involved in the learning, engaging in the learning. So we have to be mindful of that as well, that we're not just pushing the kids there for the sake of, or to call it inclusion. What we're doing, we're integrating. So we may include them, the persons with the learning disabilities, they are accommodated for. We provide accommodation for those children. Now, accommodation is to show what the child know. And some people think, oh, well, he's going to get an unfair advantage. No, an accommodation is not an unfair advantage. It is to show what you know. And so our teachers, we have to be educated on how to provide accommodations for persons or children with the invisible. You know, back then we called them the dunce cap. And you know, days we used to put children in the back of the class and say to laugh at him. You know, looking back, how terrible that was. That child might have just had a learning disability, and that child might have just need another mode to present that mode of teaching and learning. Inclusive learning mirrors inclusive teaching. You see, we have to look at that as well.
Yeah, because you can have someone, if I may just add quickly, integration. You may have that child, as Michelle is saying in the class. That, for example, a student who is deaf is in there, but the teacher is just babbling, and nobody is signing to that child. So then, is that child included? The child is just placed. In fact, it's a placement, but it is not inclusion. Right?
Exactly.
It is a placement.
Yes.
Right. But it is not inclusion. So so when we talk inclusion, it's about accommodating, providing the support services that the child would need. So whether it is that they just maybe need to be seated in a certain place in the classroom, a certain position, whether it's the front row or the second row or the back row, it doesn't have to be the front, or whether it is that this child may just need to have a cubicle sort of, so that they are not distracted because of that special need that they may have, or whether it is they may just need a timer, a clock being placed there to keep them on target, you know, on task. Whether it is that they need now to go out at a half an hour to meet with the speech therapist. So that may just be the accommodation for them. And that is what more is leading to that of inclusion, because you're providing the support services that they need, the accommodation and the support.
Spot on. Or sometimes, go ahead, a little extra time for an exam. Some children get anxiety for exam. What is wrong if the child needs an extra 50 minutes to finish the exam? It's not going to take away from anybody. It's just meaning that that child will be given an opportunity to show what they know. A typical example, Michelle, a lot of times we say, read a book and do a book report. Well, yeah, you don't always have to present that. Everyone doesn't have to use the same. So when we do accommodation, we provide different ways to help the child or the student know. Differentiated is the word, differentiation or differentiated teaching. And when you differentiate with teaching, you sort of change the method, the how the child is going to get there. Not modification. Modification is another thing. We can go into that as another scope of the conversation. But teachers, for example, I have to teach I taught 5 curriculum across 4 or 5 different grade level, all in the same classroom. It sounds crazy, but it can be done because you're teaching different modes. You're presenting, so the child who is visual, the child who has a specific learning disability, the autism child, all of the lessons are presented in multimodal mode. In that way, you cater for the needs of all the children. You don't have to be a second thought like, oh, I didn't think about this. Oh, inclusion should not be an afterthought. We have to move. If we're talking about sustainable development in Grenada, we got to catch on. And we tend to imitate a lot of things in the big world. We need to imitate some of the good things. We got to keep with the pace.
Most definitely. Now, listen, from my personal experience, you touched something that I personally saw. When I was doing my first degree, there were people with disabilities in my class, but of course I was studying in the US. So those facilities were there. And when we had exams and so forth, they were given extra time. Okay. Now, these two people left university with their degrees, with great grade point averages. They just needed the extra time.
Right.
Now, I know what we're talking about is ideal, but have we started to put the structures in place? Because if we're going to do the integration/inclusion, and have we started to empower our teachers and so forth?
Right. Yes, I know in Grenada, and that is what I think what we need. A lot is happening, but it's sort of disjointed. We need to have structure. And what is going to guide that? Code of practice, so that everybody's on the same page. Policies, so that Michelle Bradford is not doing her own thing, but she knows that when she's finished doing an assessment, my next step is to pass it on to X, Y, or Z. So I think if we have more policies, we have a code of practice, that is going to guide. We have to be organized. We have to plan. We have to be more structured in order for us to move forward in terms of inclusion. However, children in Grenada do have the opportunity to have extra time. But you can't just write and say, give the child extra time. You have to more or less, for example, children who are hearing impaired or deaf, they get extra time because we can show to them the audiogram showing, it's like their prescription, showing that they have hearing loss. And we send that to the Ministry of Education, and they are given 15 minutes on every hour. Same to CXC. Also, as long as you're able to show to them that this child, some of them may come with their diagnosis from the USA because they're able to travel, as well as here, you can show that this child has this particular learning disability. They are given extra time as well by CXC. Also for the students who are blind, if they have they are legally blind, so they might be able to use large prints. The material is prepared bigger than the usual size that we know for the exam paper, so that they are accommodated for. So this sort of a thing is done, I must say, for our students here in Grenada. But we need to have a code of practice, policies. We do not have a Disability Act in Grenada. We need to be pushing for that. We need to review our special education need policy to be current and to bring it forward to the public so that we're aware of what is written there. We need to have a code of practice for all practitioners, for all stakeholders, for all service providers, so we're all doing this in synergy and on the same page.
And
who is going to lead the charge? I don't know, but I know from my end as Advocacy Grenada, we are going to be advocating for this, and we are ready as a civil society to join with government to see to it that our special needs persons with disabilities are part of society. They receive whatever education is there so they can attain their fullest potential.
Okay, Francis, your take?
Yes, I was going to say to Michelle, when we have moving forward with all of the policies, one of the things to persons with disability, I'm a very strong advocate. You are QS Behavioral Services. We've been doing that advocacy in Grenada. Now, one of the things to persons with disability have to understand and know their rights. Disability rights, human rights. Now, there are policies in place, but the question is, are the persons with disability, are they even aware of that themselves? And even for students who have planned or some of those accommodations, are the students even aware of the accommodations? So we also have to teach persons how to self-advocate. That's a big part. We need to teach persons how to self-advocate. And when we do that and policies are in place, another point is those policies must be, or those accommodations and all of that must be implemented with fidelity. It's not just a wishy-washy and you don't have time, but that's not going to work. He's not going to learn anyway. You know, I know the attitude. I've taught in Grenada. I've worked there. Well, he ain't learning anything, and we started labeling children. This one take after the father, that one take after the granduncle, rather than genuinely trying to work with the children, you know, with fidelity. And there must be some form of accountability. Okay, if you're supposed to provide X amount of services to a child or so, you have to show some form of accountability for that as well. So we can go on with the class and even the workplace and all of that. We need to really, as I said, Michelle, we're stepping it up, and we're here. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere anytime soon.
God's be alive.
Definitely.
God's be alive.
Now, ladies, we could go on, and we're almost out of time. But for both of you, and I would start with you first, Braffett. What can we do? And when I say what can we do, what must we do now to start to get where we need to be?
Right.
Even in terms of tolerance and understanding.
Right. So I believe the first thing is for all of us to educate ourselves. Yes, civil society and government can do that, but even independently of our own, we can read up, learn about the different types of disabilities, so that when you see an autistic child, for example, a child who's autistic, you know, like, why is that child behaving in this sort of way? But then you understand, oh, he's autistic. So that is why he might be echoing. That is why he might be tiptoeing. So I think it's on us as citizens to educate ourselves as well on the different types of disabilities, the characteristics, which is there on social media, there before us. We could take a little time on Facebook after we done watch The Breakfast Club, and we can learn a little right now about the different types of disabilities. So I think we can educate ourselves. That's one. We need to respect persons with disabilities. As we say to them too, they need to respect themselves as well. But we need to see them as human beings, not animals, not as persons to scorn. I have heard Zinzi Noel, who is actually a youth parliament. She's going to be at that election. I hope she would win, of course, her seat. And she's talking about when she went to have a baby, that she was scorned. You know, it's like, you have disability, physical challenges, and you're making a child. It's like, that's not your business. You take care of her. So that's sort of a thing where we need to see persons with disabilities as human beings, as citizens with rights, just like you and I.
Francis?
Yes, and I'm going to jump right onto that. Disability rights is human rights. And I think for us, what can we do? I think we need to break down the barrier, the stigma that is attached, even in mental health. It's about the barriers we have, the transportational barrier, the attitude. I think it's the attitude. Persons with disability are looked at as second-class citizens. So once we could move past that barrier, that attitude towards them, I think we're going to be heading in the right direction. And as I said, as QS Behavioral Services, we are in Grenada, a nonprofit, and we are going to be continuing to work with the population in the best way we can. I thank you so much for having me here today.
Most definitely. You know, and you know, I think my biggest takeaway from today is because when I knew you guys were coming on, I didn't fathom the concept of invisible disability was never on my radar. Okay, so we're all affected by it in some way or the other, and we may not know. So I think that this is important. Braffett, could you just remind us about the activities today again, please, before we close?
Right. So under the theme, amplifying the leadership of persons with disabilities for an inclusive and sustainable future, here in Grenada, we'll be having a march. We gather at 9:30 on the Green Bridge. You still have time to come on out, and we will be making our way. It's students as well as for community. We'll be making our way across St. George's, that is in the town, and onto the botanical gardens across Tantine. So we invite you to come out. You can be part. You are more or less the converted. So join in with us as we would have it's not a protest, but it's an awareness where we'll have the students created their own placards and so on. So we'll be having that activity, the march, which will be followed by the launch of the Moby Mat. It is for persons who use wheelchairs, so you can have access to the beach. So we'll be making our way by 11:30 onto the Grandans Beach near to the Coconut Restaurant, where we'll have the launch of the Moby Mat. And later in the afternoon, it's by invitation, but there's going to be, it's a red carpet event where you are going to have the introduction, if I should say, the rollout of a film that was production that was done on persons with disabilities. So that's happening later in the afternoon at the Botanical Gardens. But I believe this one, by invitation, is through the Ministry of Social Development and the Serapis International Grenada.
Okay. Now, for a parent looking at the program today and thinking, well, okay, maybe my child has an invisible disability. Where do they go? Who do they reach out to? Who do they contact? Is there
I would suggest that they contact first and foremost the Ministry of Education, the Special Education, Inclusive Education Unit. Then, if it is something beyond, they would know exactly who to refer the student to. But here in Grenada, it is through the Special Education Unit for our students who are within the government schools. If it is that, however, Michelle also provides such a support as well, but I'm talking here in terms of from the government perspective, so she might be able to share more on that.
Michelle, share please.
Yes, Michelle Francis. So we are QS Behavioral Services. We do provide a lot of service support for families, persons who, with autism, the invisible specific learning disability. I work with families, helping them with strategies, and also provide training and consultation for private schools, on teaching, training teachers on differentiative teaching and what differentiative learning should look like. So it's a whole package. And we are on the website, it's qsbehavior.com.
Okay. Well, ladies, I want to thank you very much for joining us this morning. I'm sorry about the technical issues in the beginning, but it was a fruitful conversation. I also want to remind my viewers that, disability is not inability, okay? We've got to put away the shame game and all of this nonsense that have had us stagnated for so many years. And I think about how many people we would have failed because we didn't have the knowledge and tools at the time, that a lot of the people that we have failed a lot of children, and we've got to stop that now. Okay. Disability is not an inability. Make sure you have your children assessed. It is very important. Sometimes when I have these conversations, I'm saddened because I think to myself as well how ignorant I was. I was in classrooms where there were children acting up, and I myself saw them as just the bad behavior that you throw on the side. So I am also ignorant and didn't do my part. Right. As if you learn and you educate yourself, and I want to encourage our viewers to support by educating yourself. If you have a child that has an inability, it is not, please reach out and let's make sure that we're protecting and we're making a better Grenada altogether.
Kurt, one more thing I wanted to say. I know we talk a lot about the children here in the school and inclusion. We probably want to do this again to talk about the situation of adults in the disability industry.
Yes, most definitely.
Yes, definitely have to address the adults with the disability in the workplace.
Ladies, I want to wish you all the success in your endeavors today. I want to encourage people to go out and support. Supporting is by educating yourself. As I said in the beginning, knowledge is power. That's one thing no one can take away from you. I left this morning's conversation empowered because I didn't look at things in a whole broad sense before, but I'm looking at it now, understanding it as it is. So I want to thank you guys for joining us on the Wake Up Club. Don't be a stranger. You are welcome anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having us this morning.
Not a problem. And to the viewers, it is another terrific Tuesday. Go out there and conquer the world. Remember to be kind, to love each other, and to, of course, practice some understanding and patience. Have a fantastic Tuesday, and we'll see you on Friday. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
It's time to do better. Beacon's Be Better Group Health Plan now offers new and improved options that make health insurance affordable for small to medium businesses. Good medical cover gives you a competitive edge and takes care of the people that take care of your business. Get a better plan to build a better business. Call Beacon or log on to beacon.co.tt for more info today.